Got the best coaches in the game. We really ain't playing. We regroup up in the Slack chat where the coaches debrief. We be piecing these puzzles, occupy the chunk of the pie. Ain't no lie when we hit the block. Helmets casted and top. You be seeing helmet after helmet, helmet after helmet. First place, second place, fifth place, eighth place, 12th place, 15, 16, 20. So many helmets, you got blurred vision, we got too many. Get your tech. Oh man, shit. They got us fucked up. Army, regroup. We pledge always to have that edge. We don't fire warning shots. Competition just dropped. We locked and loaded before lock. Whatever the time, yeah. Do you even correlate?
Being the best requires a willingness to outwork your competition. There's always someone smarter, faster, sharper, more naturally gifted to come around.
What's up, everyone? Kevin Allen here from DFS Army, and I am here to break down the World Golf Classic Match Play 2021 edition and how to attack this from a daily fantasy golf perspective. Now, why am I making a special video about this particular tournament? I'm going to explain. This tournament, completely different from anything else we've ever done or that anything else we normally do in terms of daily fantasy golf. Usually with daily fantasy golf, we have a 2-day qualifications period, after which half of the golfers make the cut and the other half don't. So we're trying to get about, we have odds of 50-50 for all intents and purposes that our golfers that we choose will make it through the full 4-day tournament. In regular daily fantasy golf, the golfers are scored based on birdies and bogeys, and they get plus points for birdies and minus points for bogeys, and also where they finish in the tournament. So if you finish first, you get more points than anything else. Match play is totally different, and I'm going to go over the 2 reasons, and it requires a completely different strategy in order to attack. And definitely if you're using an optimizer, you have to turn the whole world upside down, and hopefully not a lot of people know about it so that we can get the edge on them. Not just with the optimizer, though, in terms of handcrafting as well. Totally different approach for match play just because of the way the scoring system works. So what I have on screen is a picture of the bracket. And I did this to sort of, and I'll bring this picture back a little bit as I can, but I brought this up to really explain how match play is going to work. So you have these groups that all start out, and it's very much like March Madness. We're used to it, kind of like March Madness. You have these giant groups of 4, right, that all start out. This is one side of the bracket. This is the other side. Each group of 4 will play a match, and one of them will move on. One will move on, one will move on, and one will move on. Now, what happens next, right? So now you get a new group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the Sweet 16, right? So you get 8 teams on eight golfers on either side. Again, they'll all face off 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll get, in this case, they'll face off 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you'll get another group, right? And so on and so forth. And each part of the bracket is whittling down the golfers until there are just 2. Now, in our study, here's a couple things we figured out. Number 1, you don't need the top 2. It's the final 4 that count because there's a 3rd place match. And so finishing in first place is not even a bonus. There's no points for it, as I'll show you in a minute. So what we want is volume of holes played. We want more volume of holes played, right? So what's the optimal strategy to construct a lineup so we have the best chance? Essentially, how do you win this? If you got 4 golfers, if you figure out who these 4 guys are, who makes the final 4 and play all those extra matches, they get all those extra holes to play. Plus, the fact that they've made it there means they've won a lot of holes to begin with. Then you're probably winning a tournament, probably winning 100K. As a matter of fact, last year, I don't know if in the last time one of these happened, it's not clear if anybody got 404 all the way to the finals. And if they did, it was only a couple out of 100,000. So the odds of pulling this off are very difficult, but we want to skew them in our favor. And I'm going to tell you how in a moment. We'll go over all of that. So again, understanding our primary strategy here is so the way we're going to set this up, and our real primary strategy is going to be this. Number one, each lineup has to have a mix of golfers from this side of the bracket and that side. Give yourself the best odds. And what we figured out is that you want no more than one from each of these groups of 8. And the reason it's the group of 8 is because, if I get one from this group and one from this group here, like let's say I just did one from each group of 4, these two are going to face off against one another in the next match. So I don't have a chance, for example, of getting multiple rounds of play out of this person. So what we figured out is we want no more than one golfer from this group of 8, this group of 8, this group of 8, and so on and so on and so forth. And I'll show you in a minute how to do it. But when you do that, you guarantee yourself that, okay, my worst case scenario is, let's say I got Rory McIntyre from this group of 8 and Lee Westwood from this group. So you get Rory playing this match, Westwood playing this match. Then both guys win their second match. Then they face off in the third match, okay, in the final. So I'm perfectly fine with, Lee Westwood getting he got 1, 2, 3 rounds of play in, and then he goes up against my other guy here and he loses. Fine. You actually can't put 6 golfers. You have to choose 6. You can't put them in the final 4. So the first concept here is no more than one from this group, from each group of 8 that are starting out together, maximum of 1. The second concept we're going to talk about in terms of maximizing our odds to try to get 4 golfers, 1, 2, 3, 4, the final 4. If we can get the final 4, we'll probably win the 100K. It's that simple. If you have the final 4, you probably win in the money because it doesn't matter who wins. It's not how the scoring works. I'll show you that in a second. So the second concept is, since we're choosing 6 golfers on Draftkings, I want to make sure I get 3 from this side. This isn't a must. If you just set it up so that you only can get 1 from each group of 8, then what can happen is you can wind up with 4 from one side, 2 from the other side. I would say that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you only have 2 from the other side, the chance of you picking the 2 final 4 guys, maybe it's a little lower than if you had 3. You can increase your odds, but it's not that big of a deal. I think it's fine to set it up that way. But to take it a step further, we can make a rule that forces 3 golfers from this group, so that it will make sure that every lineup you create uses 3 golfers from one side of the bracket and 3 from the other. Maximize your odds of getting the final 4 into your lineup and winning all the monies. I'm going to show you how to do that. Oh, my man. Yeah. So there you go, Bobby Clinks. You're going to love this because this is right up your alley. So check out how to make this happen. Check this out because this is really cool. So we're like, hey, we've never done match play before. How do we do this? Well, one of the nice things, actually, let me show you the scoring to prove what I'm saying. So note here that the only scoring is for holes won, holes halved, holes lost, you get a negative. Holes not played, you get positive. Meaning what? If I already win, if let's say if your golfer wins without having to play a full 18 holes, yeah, there we go. It's like March Madness all over again. It's golf March Madness. If your golfer wins early, where he doesn't need to play out the full 18 holes, they give them points for holes not played, which is very nice. Some other bonuses are like streaks of 3 consecutive, no holes lost, etc., etc. But what you're not seeing here is you don't see birdie, eagle, finishing position. There's no bonus for winning it. Why? Why didn't they give a bonus? Bobby Clinkerts, why didn't they put a bonus in for finishing in first? I don't know, but they didn't. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you choose the winner. As long as you get the final 4 golfers into your lineup, you're going to win the 200K. It's that simple. It seems easy. It's fucking easy. That's all. All right. So we've covered the strategy. We've covered the scoring system. We've covered the optimal lineup construction, which again, let's go back to it. Going to hammer this in. Optimal lineup construction. No more than one of these 8, these 8, these 8, these 8, right? Every 8-pack, we don't want more than one. Because if I got one, yeah, there you go. It doesn't matter. You don't have to win. It's irrelevant. There's no bonus taco for winning. Why? They fucked it up. That's why. They fucked it up. They should have a bonus for winning. There should be bonuses for where you finished. They don't have it. So for that reason, we don't have to worry about who wins. We just need the final 4. So what I was going to say, again, 1 from each group of 8. And then if you want, you can do a secondary rule, 3 from this side, 3 from that side. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. Okay. Now, let's go to the Domination Station Optimizer. I've set this up already and I've made the rules. And part of the reason why I did it in advance of this is because it takes a minute to do this. So on the Domination Station Optimizer, dfsarmy.com, Domination Station, right? We've got the ability to do something called to create player groups, right? And within a player group, you can say, I'll show you exactly the one I just made. Stack between 3 and 3 of all of these names in all of your lineups. Now, who are these people? I will tell you right now. I will tell you right now who these people are. The person coming in the room, I don't know who that is. Someone's here, but it's my kid. But who are these people that are in this list? I went down this list, right down the list, boom, and I typed in all these names. That was my kid. And you just type them in, you put them all in there, you say stack between 3 and 3. What does that do? That creates a situation where you're guaranteed 3 people from this group will be in each lineup, no more, no less. That automatically means that 3 people from this side will also be in the group. Now, the other thing that I did on the Domination Station, let me bring that up again here. And, you know, of course, this is Taco's genius at work, so keep that in mind and you know, ignore my crazy screen here. All right, so so I created that rule between 3 and 3, and I went right down that list. The second thing I did was I went through each list of 8, as we talked about, each group of 8, and I said stack between 0 and 1 of that group. So I've created all of these rules. I had to type it up. There's no way to do it otherwise. And to be clear, you know, nothing's set up this way. Nobody's optimized set up this way because match play is like a once. I've never even seen it before. This is it. I mean, they do it. They've done it before, but it's a rare thing that they do maybe once a year. So we don't have the opportunity, but that presents an opportunity to get an edge on the field. So that's why we do this. Now, once you've got all of these rules set up, I'm going to run lineups right now. And unfortunately, I can't specifically show you that it's locked into the rule, but you will note every lineup being generated right now has one thing in common. There are 3 players from one side of the bracket and 3 players from the other side of the bracket. It's a party in my office. It's just what's happening. There are 3 players from one side of the bracket and 3 players from the other side of the bracket in every lineup. And there are no more than one golfer from each group of 8. So it's the perfect combination. You've got 1 from each group of 8 and at least 3 from each side. That's how you set up. Now, how do I know which ones to choose? Yeah. You see it? That's right. Lady Geek was in here. You saw her. Public video. Great. So, so that's the setup, guys. And you're going to set it up exactly like that. Now, how do I know who to play? Well, isn't it nice to be part of DFS Army, where I have smarter people than me that know about PGA, putting together notes and breakdowns. It starts with the PGA research station. Okay. Now, some of the beautiful information we have in this research station, you got to check this out. Okay. Beyond, of course, the group setup. I need to turn off my Beyond the group setup, which will show you, I can sort by groups. So I could sort by A to Z. So if I wanted to, find these groups of 8, you can sort it like this, and you get each group written out over here. So I could just quickly grab the names to create my rules. But also what's really cool is you have implied odds to win the tournament, to reach the final, which is much more important than winning to us. We don't care who wins. We only care who reaches the final, reach semi, reach quarter, or win their group. So we can use these projections to guide us. There are some other really cool things. One of my favorite tools, but this will guide you. I mean, if you thought you wanted to go 100% on someone, but what are their odds to reach the finals or this quarter? The semifinals is good enough. So semifinals, like, do I really want more than 17% of John? If his odds to reach the semifinal, and we need him in the semifinal if we're going to win the money, this is a guideline for how much ownership you should probably have. And if he's 24% projected owned, but only 17% chance of getting to the final, you can leverage the field by going under the field, etc. Same with some situations where guys will be lower owned. So I'm sure we can find some scenarios here where guys will be lower owned maybe than they should, like a Xander Schauffele, 11 to almost 12% chance to make the final, but maybe almost 10% owned. So there are some scenarios where we can exploit. One other thing that I would take a look at. Yeah, it's not a wing. You know what it is? It's my Ring door camera thing, because people clearly are coming in and out of my house, and I usually have everything turned off, but my phone. This was a weird video. Let me put it that way. We want to reach the semi for the most part. Yeah, so reach semifinal. There we go. Not the quarter, the semifinal. So on the semi number here, and let's sort by semifinals. You can look, let's say, at this number again, compare it to ownership, and you could see, oh wow, there's a little bit of a difference here, a little bit of a discrepancy. Like Paul Casey, this is going to be a good one. He's going to be super chalk, right? 20% owned. But his odds of reaching the semifinal is only 12%. So do I really want to go high over the field? Maybe not. Here's another one. Tyrell Hatton. I don't know why, but he's going to be 16% owned. He's only got a 10% shot. Here's another guy, Abraham Answer. 6% chance, but for some reason, these guys will be way, way higher than their odds in terms of their ownership. So what that makes me want to do is look into things. Here are some guys that are kind of like priced high, like Matsuyama and Fleetwood. They're going to be particularly low owned compared to, I would say, their odds, I guess, of making it here, because they're not that different from some of these other guys, but they'll be like the odds of Hideki Matsuyama. All right, Matsuyama and Will Zalatoris are about the same odds of making the final, but Zalatoris will be 14%. Matsuyama will be 7%. So those are places we could look for leverage. NBA videos. Come on, man. I don't know anything about NBA. Yeah, there you go. I mean, odds to pricing, it's going to determine a lot. So here's another thing that I like to look at, though, and I think this is important, Taco, and he put a great addition into the research station for this. Match play history. Match play is unique. Like, it's not the same as a tournament. See certain players, they're really good at winning tournaments. Other players are really good at winning match play. So I really like this as a determinant of whether or not I'm interested in that player. So Rory Mcilroy match play history is pretty good. We can sort by match play history and get an idea of which of these golfers. Now, not everybody's played in match play. Here's a bunch of them that haven't, including a lot of maybe even some chalky names. But, just having this, you have to be careful. For example, like a Harris English, only 6 matches played. But when you start to get into these guys like that have a long history of match play and have been pretty good, I think it's worth giving them an extra look. Or more so, if you have a long history of being terrible at match play, maybe it's worth like being concerned. So that's it, though, right? And of course, we have our cheat sheets Josh puts those together. DFS Up North, they're fantastic. I'm not going to go over that here. You could check out the 4 Thoughts video breaking some of this down. But I do think that when you analyze each individual group, there may be certain groups where I'll give you the perfect example. The Paul Casey group. Paul Casey going to be super chalk, right? And I'm just going to specifically talk about this group because Paul Casey supposed to be chalk, but like Webb Simpson's in that group too, and he's really good. So like I want to look for groups. If I'm going to go heavy on a golfer, I want to look for a group where kind of the rest of the group sucks. I understand like where Dustin Johnson will be popular because he's kind of in here with a group of not as good. You know, your 1 seed will be in there with maybe some golfers that aren't as good. But again, keeping in mind that that's not definitely the case either. There are scenarios where some of these golfers are placed where they rank, and maybe somebody who's really good is ranked kind of low for whatever reason, the way that golf rankings work. So just because I'm ranked number 1 in the world doesn't mean I have the best form and I'm awesome like Dustin Johnson, but he is awesome. But like, that's not what that means for sure. So I'm going to lean on the notes. I'm not even going to cover that in this video, but hopefully this gives you an idea of how to set up the Domination Station Optimizer and just generally how to attack match play PGA this week. Make sure every single lineup at least gives itself a shot at having 4 of 4 in that final or that semifinal. Because if you don't get 4, you probably don't get the money, or at least you probably need 3. Something already happened. Upcoming PGA contest. We'll find out what that is in a minute, but probably a golfer dropped out. Taco, something happened. Anyway, that'll do it for this video, guys. Good luck this week in match play. Another reminder, it starts in a few hours, not on Thursday morning. Hang on, when does it start? 18 hours. So looks like, what's today? Tuesday? Looks like Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. This is not a Thursday start, so be careful, be aware. Reserve your lineups now. I've got 170 lineups going. And if you don't think that it was moved up. There you go. If you don't think that mass multi-entry is, if you think mass multi-entry is stupid or bots or cheating, then you're probably a fucking moron. So whatever. You're going to attack this contest. You're not winning it. You got to mass multi-enter it. And, crazy shit can happen in match play. So I probably won't go over. Oh, there you go. Start time. Okay. So start time moved up even further. There you go. That's the news. Makes sense. There we go. Makes sense. So this to me is a perfect example. Cash lineup. I'm making one. I think it's crazy. You've got to get 3 to the final, ideally 4 to try to win this tournament. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to attack it that way and use the notes, use the Dom Station. Every lineup will be designed to win. A couple other details just to share in terms of how I'm doing it and a little bit of how kind of Taco is doing it and what I think is the right way. Because I think it's very, very volatile, I'm using 3 uniques this week probably, and very high randomization up to 25%. And the reason I'm doing that is just because, again, match play has traditionally been very volatile. I don't want to wind up with, 40% of one guy and he's out in the first round. So I'm not doing that. Somebody's out in the first round, you're dead. You're much better off. Again, our whole goal is to find get 4 of our 6. Ideally, if we could get 3, we might have a shot at winning the whole thing. If we can get 4 into the final, you're borderline locked into a top 10 finish. Not going to be easy to do, but I like the challenge. I'm excited. Good luck, everybody, this week. Let's crush.